AITA for giving my late sister's baby back to the father she hated. IF32 just became a mother under the worst possible circumstances. And I still don't know if I did the right thing. A few months ago, my sister Olivia died in a car accident. She was only 33. It was one of those sudden, cruel tragedies you read about but never imagine will happen to someone you love. One moment she was driving home from work, texting me about some ugly dress our mom was trying to make her wear for a wedding, and the next moment she was gone. The police told us it was instant. A drunk driver ran a red light at full speed. Her little Toyota didn't stand a chance. The world blurred after that. The funeral was a haze. People I hadn't seen in years came out of the woodwork to say how sorry they were. How Olivia was too young. How at least the baby wasn't in the car. That line made me want to scream, as if the fact that her daughter was still alive somehow softened the blow. It didn't. If anything, it made it harder. Because while I was still in shock, barely able to speak without crying, I was handed a 6-month-old baby and told, essentially, here you go. There was no will, no plan, no godparents listed, no custody paperwork. Olivia was always the planner in the family. She was the one with color-coded calendars and holiday spreadsheets. But I guess none of us thought she'd die in her early 30s. So when the hospital called and said, "You're listed as next of kin," I assumed they just needed me to sign something. I didn't think I'd be leaving the hospital with a baby in my arms. Her name is Amelia, and when they placed her in my arms for the first time, she blinked up at me like she was waiting for someone to explain the rules. I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't a mom. I'd never even babysat an infant before. I didn't have a crib, a stroller, or even a car seat. The hospital gave me a loaner seat and a tote bag full of diapers, and said I could figure out the rest later. So I drove home in total silence, afraid to even breathe too loud. I kept checking the rearview mirror to make sure she was still there, still upright, still breathing. That first night was one of the worst of my life. I laid Amelia down in a laundry basket filled with towels because I didn't have anything else. I didn't sleep at all. Every time she stirred, I jolted awake. I was terrified I'd somehow kill her by accident. I Googled everything: how warm her bottle should be, how often to burp her, what color her poop should be. At one point, I sat on the bathroom floor and sobbed because I couldn't figure out how to install a baby gate. I'd known grief before, but never while holding a screaming child at 3 a.m. trying to remember if I'd even eaten that day. And the worst part? No one was stepping in to help. My parents are both alive, but the second they realized Amelia didn't have anyone else, they made it clear that I was now Plan A. My mom said she was too emotionally fragile to raise another baby. I can't go through all that again, she told me, like I'd asked her to raise a child on her own in the woods with a pack of wolves. My dad just shook his head and said, "We've done our time, honey." They brought meals for a week and then started sending passive-aggressive texts about how exhausted they were. So there I was, mourning my sister, trying to navigate motherhood and slowly unraveling, while everyone around me pretended like I had it under control. The thing is, I didn't. Not at all. Amelia wasn't a difficult baby, objectively speaking, but everything felt hard. I couldn't go to the bathroom without her crying. I couldn't make a cup of coffee without her needing to be held. I started having breakdowns over tiny things: spilling formula, dropping my phone, forgetting to switch the laundry. My apartment was a mess. I started avoiding mirrors. I hadn't washed my hair in over a week. My friends kept saying, "You're doing amazing," but I didn't feel amazing. I felt like I was pretending. Like I was wearing someone else's life. I didn't post anything about Amelia on social media because I didn't want people asking questions. I didn't want the flood of "you're such a good aunt" comments when I didn't even feel like a decent human being. Every time I saw someone pushing a stroller with a partner beside them, I felt a wave of bitterness so strong it made my stomach twist. I loved Amelia. I did. But I also resented her a little, and that's the part that really killed me. She didn't ask for any of this. She didn't ask to be orphaned or thrown into a stranger's apartment. But I couldn't help the gnawing feeling in the back of my mind that I'd been forced into something I wasn't ready for. Maybe didn't even want. I tried to talk to my mom about it once, told her I was drowning and didn't know how long I could keep it up. She looked at me like I'd just said I was giving Amelia away to a biker gang. "Don't you dare give up on her," she said. "Olivia trusted you." I wanted to scream. Olivia didn't trust me. Olivia never even asked me. She died without making a plan. And now I was stuck cleaning up the mess. It went on like that for weeks. Bottle after bottle, diaper after diaper. Me pacing the floor with the baby on my hip, whispering, "It's okay, it's okay," more for myself than for her. The loneliness was unbearable. Every nap she took, I just sat in silence, too drained to even watch TV. I didn't have time to process my sister's death. I was stuck in survival mode. I'd always thought of myself as responsible, but nothing prepares you for becoming a mother overnight, especially not like this. The sleep deprivation was brutal. My house, usually neat, had become a war zone of burp cloths, empty bottles, and untouched laundry. I hadn't had a proper shower in days. Some days I didn't even remember to eat until my hands shook. My parents checked in, but mostly from a distance. They didn't offer help. Not in the real physical sense. No diaper changes, no late-night feeds, no hours spent rocking a crying baby. Just the occasional call asking, "How are you holding up?" I wanted to scream. They were alive, capable. And yet, when Olivia died, they seemed to retreat inward. My mom said she was too heartbroken to be around the baby, that she looked too much like Olivia. My dad said he didn't think he had the energy to raise a child again, but both made it very clear that giving the baby to her father wasn't an option they could support. He was never good for Olivia, my mom said. He doesn't deserve to raise her daughter. So I kept going. Day after day, the same exhausting loop. Feeding, changing, bouncing, consoling. Sometimes the baby would cry for so long that I had to put her down and walk out of the room to collect myself. I'd stand in the hallway, hands on my face, breathing like I was in labor myself. Then I'd go back in, smile through gritted teeth, and try again. I didn't hate her. I loved her, but I didn't ask for this. And that guilt weighed on me constantly. She was innocent. She had no idea her world had been turned upside down. And yet I could feel resentment growing in the spaces where grief used to be. Eventually, I realized I couldn't keep this up. Something had to give. I wasn't sleeping more than 3 hours a night. My job was on indefinite leave. My friends had stopped inviting me to things because I always said no. And I didn't even recognize myself anymore. That's when I reached out to Daniel, Olivia's ex and Amelia's father. I didn't make a big thing of it. No dramatic message, no emotional speech. I just let him know what had happened, that I had the baby, and I didn't know where things stood between him and Olivia before she passed. I figured he had a right to know. It took him 2 days to respond. I honestly wasn't sure he would, but when he did, he didn't ask questions or make demands. He asked if I was okay, if the baby was okay. Then he asked if we could talk. We met at a cafe not far from my place. I was nervous. I hadn't seen him in years, not since Olivia told me they'd broken up for good, which, to be honest, happened a lot. Their relationship had always been rocky. On again, off again. Lots of intense fights, long silences, then sudden reunions. Olivia said he was toxic, that he drank too much, that he wasn't someone she could ever trust with a family. But what I saw sitting across from me that day didn't look like a threat. He looked tired. Not dangerous, just older. He told me he'd been sober for over a year, that Olivia didn't believe him when he tried to reach out during the pregnancy, that she blocked him and refused to let him be involved. He didn't blame her. He admitted he'd made mistakes, big ones, that he wasn't there for her when it mattered, and by the time he tried to get clean, she'd given up on him. We talked for an hour. He asked about the baby, about what she was like, if she had Olivia's eyes. I told him she did. We didn't make any decisions that day, but he said he wanted to be in her life. If I was open to it, I told him I didn't know yet, that I needed time. I walked away from that conversation feeling ... conflicted. Part of me was relieved to know there was someone else out there who cared, someone who might share this burden, but another part of me felt sick to my stomach, wondering if I was betraying Olivia just by sitting there with him. My parents were furious when I told them. My mom said I was being manipulated. My dad asked if I was trying to erase Olivia's memory by handing her baby to the man who ruined her life. I told them I hadn't made any decisions, but they didn't want to hear it. They just wanted me to shut the door and never open it again. But I couldn't ignore what I'd seen. Daniel wasn't who I expected. He was calmer, sober, focused. I'd asked around a little, reached out to a mutual friend of his who confirmed that he'd been attending meetings and working steadily. He wasn't perfect, but he seemed like someone trying to make things right. In the weeks that followed, we kept in touch. Slowly, I let him visit once. I stayed in the room the whole time. He held her like she was made of glass, like he couldn't believe she was real. She didn't cry, just stared at him. I watched his eyes fill with tears he didn't let fall. After he left, I cried for hours. Not because I was sad, not because I was happy, but because I realized I didn't know what the right thing was anymore. I thought I was doing what Olivia would have wanted, protecting her daughter from someone she didn't trust. But now, I wasn't sure. What if what she wanted wasn't actually what was best? What if she was wrong about him? Or what if he had changed? I kept asking myself over and over, was I holding on to this baby because I truly believed I was the best person to raise her? Or because I didn't know how to let go? And that question haunted me more than anything else. Eventually, Daniel started asking for more time with Amelia. Not in a demanding way, more like someone trying to prove they could be trusted. He asked if he could take her for full days, maybe even overnight soon. And honestly, I was too exhausted to argue. I was barely keeping up. Amelia seemed to like being with him. She was calm, slept better after spending time with him, and even started doing that babbling coo thing babies do when they're happy. I couldn't ignore that. It's not like I fully relaxed. I still texted constantly while she was with him, checked in way too often, and hovered more than I probably should have. But over time, it felt a little easier to let go. Just a bit. I was getting small windows of rest, which felt like luxury after months of non-stop survival mode. I was finally able to wash my hair without rushing, actually sit down and eat, sleep for more than 2 hours at a time, but I was the only one who was happy about this. My parents found out Daniel had been taking Amelia out and absolutely blew up. It's worth noting they had never offered to take her themselves, not once, but they made it very clear they were disappointed in my decisions. My mom accused me of disrespecting Olivia's memory. My dad didn't say much, but gave me this cold, clipped silence that stung more than yelling. It was like they thought I had some perfect Pinterest mom solution hidden up my sleeve and just wasn't using it. They didn't get that I wasn't choosing Daniel because it was easy. I was choosing him because I had literally no other option. Then Olivia's best friend texted me, accusing me of handing over her baby to a man she hated. I won't lie, that one got to me. Kayla had always been close with Olivia, and she meant well, but she hadn't shown up once since the funeral. Not to check in, not to bring food, not to hold the baby for 10 minutes while I took a break. But suddenly, she had a whole lot to say. It seemed like everyone had opinions, but no one had support. They weren't here at 3 a.m. when the baby wouldn't settle. They weren't here when I ran out of clean clothes, or when I cried in the shower because I missed my sister so much, it physically hurt. They weren't here when I genuinely worried I might fall asleep standing up because I hadn't rested in days. But now that things were shifting, now they had time to weigh in. And yeah, I get it, Daniel wasn't the guy anyone would have picked. He had a past, he hurt Olivia, but people change. And more importantly, he was trying. No one else was. Am I truly betraying Olivia? Please tell me, Reddit. AITA? Update. It's been about 4 months since I wrote this, and a lot has changed. After sitting with everything, talking to Daniel more, and watching how Amelia responded to him, I made the decision to sign over full custody. It wasn't easy. I cried for days. Not because I doubted the choice, but because letting go felt like another layer of grief. Like I was losing Olivia all over again. But at the same time, it also felt like giving Amelia the stability she deserved. Not survival mode parenting, not someone hanging on by a thread, but a real chance at being raised by someone who wanted to be her parent and had the energy to show up fully for her. Daniel's been really good about everything. He sends me photos, updates me on her milestones, even FaceTimes me when she's doing something new. She's crawling now, she has 2 little teeth. Her favorite food is banana and she babbles nonstop. I still see her when I can, but it's different now. I'm more like an aunt than a mom, and weirdly, that's okay. My parents are still cold about it. My mom barely talks to me. My dad hasn't brought it up since I told them. I don't expect that to change anytime soon. But I've stopped trying to justify myself. I know what I did. I know why I did it. And I'm finally sleeping again. I loved Amelia. I still do. But loving her didn't mean I was the right person to raise her. And I hope, Olivia would understand that. Thanks to everyone who commented on the original post. A lot of what you said helped me feel less alone.